Look at all the tracks. We've got, those are kitty prints. That's a bobcat. There's some raccoon prints in here. This open water in these wetlands this time of year is just invaluable. Everyone's keying into it. There's raccoon prints in here. All right. Yeah, look at those raccoon prints. Everyone's been out and about on this. We walked this whole drainage yesterday. I mean, I had to go half a mile that way, and the amount of fur bearer sign that we saw was unbelievable. But this is the hut that we're trapping on right now. Look, last night, Riley. Last night there's a raccoon that came out and walked around here. So, yeah, I guess we're gonna walk through this hut and kind of what we did. It's obviously a massive hut. It's really active. We're in this cattail swale, which is nice because it helps you to identify runs. But here in particular, I mean, this run just froze over the night before last, and the amount of activities is unbelievable. You can tell they've been coming in and out, and I mean the sticks and debris when we made our sets was just crazy. So we've got 2 sets in this run, and we think they're decent sets, but sometimes these places that have an unbelievable amount of activity can be difficult because those beavers are moving through so much, and they're carrying sticks, and it can almost be like too much. So we're gonna check these, and then we baited all these sets, and then we made 2 on kind of some exit runs if they were to go out into the larger pond. And it looks like now, of course, in hindsight, it looks like that might be another run, and maybe we should have brought another set, but we'll see. I'm pretty excited to check these. What do you think, Riley? Should we check the ones closest to the hut or further from the hut first? Order we set, okay. So we started, this almost appears to be, I wouldn't doubt it if there's an entrance somewhere over here. This is really dark water. So I'm not sure how easy it's going to be to... I think that trap is sprung. And we also had to be really careful in here because that ice is so thin. I mean, right here would not support my weight. Got something, but it almost looks like a muskrat. Yep, freaking muskrats. They will, Joey, stay back. Hey, easy. They can gum up your set sometimes, so that's good to know there's activity in there. Muskrats and beavers will often share the same dens. Muskrats will actually chew out their own sections of a hut, so they'll come in the back side, and if they're not bothering the beavers, and the beavers don't mind. So I'm gonna get this guy out of here. and remake this set. This is another reason that we use these Belial type traps. You know, if that's holding a muskrat by the tail, it just, those full closure traps are really, you can't speak highly enough about them. Stay, oh, Joey, go around. Well, if he falls in, he'll figure it out. For my safety. We'll remake this. Forgot I had my knee pads. These can be really helpful when you're kneeling on the ice a bunch. So that is, it's the only, I mean, we enjoy catching muskrats, but the only bummer is that this is a set that was, you know, it's intended for beaver, and it essentially was inactive last night because it had a muskrat in it. So there's a bit of an area in here that I can neck down. Because there's, you know, this vegetation has a bank, and there's a bank associated with that hut. And so what I'm trying to do is block this as best I can. But it's too deep, and the conditions are such that I know I can't, like, fully block it off. So that's why we bait the trigger with just a potato. This isn't aspen, we're not trying to draw a beaver in from afar. We're just trying to, if it's already moving in this run, we just want it to be interested in what we have going on. There we go. That's gonna come down in right against this. No, that's good. We want to double check that. You'll notice I did take all my safeties off before it's going in the water. That's just a product of this spot, this location. I just won't be able to get that back off once it's in. So I'm just gonna be really, really careful. I can't even see my trap. I'm actually feeling for it. There's that. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just feeling for where that where the eyelet is going through and make sure it's facing the right direction. It's nice and stable, and now that's going to freeze in tonight. We'll hang that up. Something like this, you might just run another stick kind of this way to funnel those beavers down, but check our next set. Oh boy, I don't know. I think that is still set, but it's kind of hard telling. Again, now I'm just feeling, and I'm being, very careful to stay out of the jaws, but I'm just feeling to see if that trap is sprung or set. I think it's sprung. I think it's sprung. So what I was doing again when that trap is set, the spring, the two sides of the spring are running straight towards the trap, but when it's been fired, they're coming out at an angle. I think that feels like it's coming out at more of an angle than it should be if it was set properly. So we're gonna open the whole thing up. This was kind of a cool set. This was set at a slight angle. All right, so it is sprung. Let's see. Just a big muskrat. Nice. So we did get one, at least. And so that's a kit. And we're in a hut like this, we're expecting probably 2 or 3 big adults, or probably 2 big adults, and then 1 or 2 medium-sized beavers, and anywhere 4 to 6, or 2 to 6 of these little guys. So this set is a aspen set. We got aspen on the trigger, and then so I'm just freshening it up after it's been in the water for a day. I'm gonna kind of make it a little bit brighter, really shine it up for the beavers. It's a wicked cool place though. So these baited triggers are, they're heavy. So you got to be cautious of that when making your sets, because if you too much wiggle, then it can set itself off. So we're constantly thinking about that. And this one is just zip tied. Let's see if we catch another beaver on one of our other sets. We started drilling and also putting the triggers right through that big piece of aspen. So what we're gonna do here, like I said, this was kind of a fun one because it was at a bit of an angle. So I put this, side safeties are off. I put this down in this hole and drove it underneath the bank. Yeah, I think I need to open up this ice a little bit more. Sticking this into the side of the bank. I want this to sit back a little bit more. Nope. A couple things here. I'm going to put this on my side because I know I'm going to have to take it off. Okay. And then I Wrap this under. And I'm wedging it all together, kind of. Oh, I just sprung under ice. All right. Gonna have to rework this one. What's happening is it wants to float out this way. I need to get the weight distributed a little bit better. Just very carefully. Okay, and then we had this stick, which was just running down through one of those eyelets. Okay, nice and solid. Take my safety off. Okay, whew. Same deal here where I can add this above just to kind of help as an additional dive stick. Let it all freeze in and be nice and tight. All right, 2 more sets left to check, but not so bad. Oh, we got a pile of bubbles here. Oftentimes, bubbles are a good sign because it means that when you catch an animal, they let some air go. I wonder if I can just see in. I try not to open these up. If it's still set, I try to just leave it frozen in. But again, this water's so dark. Yeah, I'm gonna have to pull the whole thing out. What is it, Joey? Sprung, but it doesn't feel very heavy. Nothing, and so it's hard telling what happened here. Whether it was a muskrat that springed this, which is very possible, or if it was a beaver. Muskrats are so small that it's possible for them to come in, work on that potato. Yeah, yeah, you can see the little marks right there. I see little tooth marks. So what probably happened is a muskrat was on that potato under there, and the trap fired completely around that muskrat. So probably a little bit of a ride for the rat, but I prefer that to a beaver who, had an interaction with a set, but didn't get caught, because that's how you can smarten up beavers. I forgot my safety.
Can you grab it?
Sure, yeah. Oh, no, I do have it. So this is as simple as suspending this in this run that we believe beavers are using if they're trying to access this greater pond behind us. So we dropped it in, and it's a little bit shallower here than we had originally planned. So I was using this through this far island to help stabilize it. The nice thing about when you get these cold stretches, we're finally getting some cold weather, is that it also freezes in these wires. And that helps stabilize your set as well. So one set left.
You need the setters behind you?
Oh yeah. I can't tell if those bubbles, or when those bubbles are formed, but definitely some activity under there last night. Still set. So that's the other way that we've been using our aspen, spearing it right through the triggers with you taking a drill bit out here. So we'll leave that for another day or two. But it looks like we definitely have some muskrats here, which can make catching beavers consistently a little tricky if they're constantly springing sets, but we'll catch a few here and there in those 330s, and we're just as happy with that. So 4 traps and 2 animals, it's not so bad. We still have one more hut to check. There's something crazy going on over there. Don't know what it is, but let's just walk through kind of how we approach this hut and what we got going on here. So we're in an alder flowage here. We've got the beaver hut right in front of us. This is my pitch for ice safety. This is moving water under here. So this is essentially an old, brook that they dammed up way down there, and it is thin in places. It's really thin. We had more ice we made last night, but it's thin, it's deep, it's pushing my shoulders. So just be cautious, especially when you see these different colored ice. Always have an ice pick, always pick your way around. So how we approach this hut, this is not a monster hut, but there's an unbelievable amount of sign. I don't know if you can see here under the ice, all these sticks that have come to the top, that have floated to the top. Those are their expired feed sticks. And there's another old hut up here that they've obviously been using a little bit. So we know they're traveling from A to B, and there's some areas where it necks down. Like right here's a great example. This is a piece of vegetation, so I know that there's bank that comes all the way up to the top, vegetation over here. you know, a spot like this, we can't neck this whole entire thing down. So we're baiting triggers and just kind of hoping for the best. Like if they're going to be moving through here, hopefully they'll see our set. And so I can already see through the ice here. This is nice clear black ice. That's a potato, and it's still set. So it's a potato that is on a trigger, and we're not going to disturb it. I think these things, these hanging baited sets work best when they're left undisturbed, you know, when they're frozen in. But we've got 4 sets here total. So let's check this one near the hut next. This one is also still set. And this is aspen. And the idea here is that this appears to be their food bed over in this area. You know, these sticks sticking up. So these beavers are going to be coming out of their hut every day, coming out and getting a snack and going back in. And so I set this just on the edge of their feed bed with the idea that if they're coming and milling around, they might see my nice fresh aspen. When you're doing under ice sets, it's about time. It's timing, just giving it time, being patient. A set like this could sit 4 or 5 days and then catch a beaver. Here in New Hampshire, we have 72-hour check laws under ice. We like to check them every 24 because we eat beaver meat. But, you know, you can leave them longer. And some people would advise that you do, that you leave it as long as you can. Now, this is interesting here. So I had this is why you tie your traps off. I had a set here. It was a hanging set, just like the 2 that you just saw. I can't remember off the top of my head exactly what the stick was exactly, but the stick's gone, but my tie off is still here. So whatever happened to there, this is why I tie traps off. I used to not. I used to just say, big, you know, the big piece of wood across the top is good enough, but things happen under ice sometimes. And so we began tying them off, and again, we're gonna see what happened here, but I'm excited I had this tied off. This is really thin here. Okay, here's a stick. Here's a, oh yeah. Holy crap. Look at the size of that beaver. Wow. And look at that perfect catch. That is about as perfect of a catch as you can get. That is a monster beaver. And he obviously just fought that trap just enough. Look at how this was all twisted up. So again, tie your traps off. But that is pretty cool. That's a nice animal. And it's a good time to highlight these traps, how effective these traps are. You know, that full closure and the strength of these spins of the springs. You know, these animals are reaching, you know, an unconscious state in like sub-minute. And that's pretty impressive when you consider the other options for mortality in the wild. All right, I gotta get this untangled first. It appears. We'll get this untangled and we'll get this untangled and then we'll get the video rolling again. And by untangled, I mean I messed around with it for about 3 seconds and I just cut the wire. We'll make new wire. But this thing, oh, that's what happened. My dog was caught on it. Hey, good boy, Joey. Wow, that is a big beaver. That's gonna be pushing, that's gotta be 40 something pounds. What do you think, Joey? All right, Joey's gonna clean that one up. I'm gonna get this untangled and get it put back together, but maybe we'll go and check that other trap first. I just can't wait any longer. I'll bring my safety, just in case. And we'll go check our last trap and then come back and we'll make this set. That's a pretty easy check. So nothing here, but just kind of what we were doing here. Hut's behind us. Dam is down here. In the winter time, unless beavers lose their water, they don't spend a ton of time at their dam, but in the odd occurrence that one's gonna come out and head down, we wanted to have a baited set that was kind of in between here and there. So that's what this was, nothing in it. So 4 traps, 1 beaver. That's pretty good for trapping through the ice. That's kind of what you can expect on a first or second night catch. And then it might be 2-3 days in between catches. So the big thing with under ice is just patience. Be patient. So we're gonna make this last set and then we'll get out of here. So this is the simple set that we caught this beaver on and that we're remaking. It's just a hanging baited set. We've got aspen, spirit on the trigger. We're putting this about halfway down in the water column. Last safety comes off. And it's just going down in there. Again, this is deep. This is deeper than you think. I mean, this is probably 4.5 feet deep. So that's suspended probably at about 2 feet right between. There's my tie off. And you don't have to have it tied off to a ton when you're trapping through the ice, but just something that, boy, am I thankful that was tied. So we're gonna get this beaver on our back and get out of here. What do you think, Joey? One last lick. There you go. All right.